Hello and welcome back. In this section, we're going to be talking about identity management and authorization. So if you look at our architecture diagram here, we have traversed quite a few areas already. We've been at the React frontend, we've been at the Node.js backend APIs and the MongoDB, and now we will be slowly traversing towards the Auth0 identity management. Okay, identity is one of the important aspects of any non-trivial application, and more so in case of let's say a distributed application. And it is important to get it right, and also make sure that we don't spend a lot of time there, because we want to spend a lot of our time on our business use cases and functionality. So with that in mind, we would be using Auth0 as our main identity provider, and we would be signing up as an application with Auth0 and using their identity services. So let's head over to their Auth0 website here, and in here I'm gonna go over to their homepage, and over here they provide a different links to different solutions, documentation, and stuff like that. So if I go over to the documentation here, it provides us some interesting information in terms of what applications are supported. For example, mobile app, single page app, regular web app, and the backend API as well, right? So they support Node.js and React, and here as well Express.js, right? All the stuff that we've been using so far. Okay, so this is really very comprehensive in terms of documentation. So if you go to the quick starts here, you can go over to the quick starts and you can choose a different quick starts, and you also have articles in terms of what you can do here, right? So they give a very comprehensive information about how to use Auth0. It is actually an Auth 2.0 compliant API framework, and also involves OpenID Connect. Okay, it allows us to authenticate seamlessly and also provide some kind of a single sign-on, right? And of course, it is a framework that implements Auth 2.0 as well. So very comprehensive, and what we're going to do here is we'll head over to the quick starts, and before we do so, let's go ahead and sign up, because that's going to be one of the things that we have to do up front. So I'm going to go ahead and click on sign up, and in here all we have to do is provide our email and password, and we should be up and running. So I'm going to say and give my email ID here. Alright, okay, let's go ahead and sign up. Interesting. Okay, what I'm going to do is, actually I'm in incognito mode. I'm going to go ahead and essentially go over to my regular mode, go in here, look for auth0.com, sign up. Let me type in my credentials again. Okay, super. Let's go ahead and sign up. Hopefully this should go ahead fine this time around. Alright, so essentially it's asking whether it's setting up, is this being set up for a company or personal. I'm going to go ahead and say personal and say next. And again, this is not a paid service, because obviously you will be falling in the free tier category. And in here, I need to choose a tenant domain. I'm going to say Indie Cafe, and that should be available. And region, I'm just going to go ahead and say US. And say create account. Okay, this should again start processing. Alright, so our account is created. Actually, we can go ahead and look at different kind of applications. And in here, there is a default application. And let's go over to our guide here. That's something that we were referring to. And let me go over to auth0.com. And inside here, I'm just going to go ahead and look at the quick starts here and click on single page app, React, and let's see what it says here. So when you signed up, application settings, it says default app. Okay, so there is already a default app here, but we can also go ahead and create a new app. if that's what we want, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and use the default app and probably go ahead and rename this. I think we should have that capability here, hopefully. Say in the cafe. Yeah, in the cafe. Alright, so that's good. Say save changes. It should be able to rename that. Super. Okay. Alright, that's nice. And let's head over again back to the documentation and do some quick let me go ahead and copy this because I want to be in the same essentially browser window. Don't want to go back and forth. So these guys are saying configure Auth0. So essentially get your application keys, and these are my application keys, and we need the domain and client ID, and we don't need the client secret is what they're saying. Okay, and then we need to configure the callback URLs, okay, and also the logout URLs, okay, and the allowed web origins. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And to begin with, we will set our local URIs, and then we'll add the Netlify URIs. Okay, so let's go ahead and collect these IDs and domain. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna copy the domain and put it in my notepad somewhere in here. Say domain ID and the client ID. Okay, super. And then what do we do? So we need the client ID and the domain ID, and that's about it. And then configure the callback URLs. So I'm going to go back and say we are on localhost 3001. Set an application type. So you're not going to touch any of these things. Okay. Allowed callback URLs, application login URI. So let's go ahead and say HTTP localhost, and we're running on 3000. Yeah, that's what we want as a allowed callback URL. Same thing for allowed logout URLs. Web origins, we'll put in the same thing. So I think we are looking good here, right? What else can we do? Allowed web origins, allowed callback URLs, application login URI. I think this is going to be sign in. SIGNIN, okay. I don't think this is required. This is something to do with authorize or something like that. So I'll not go ahead and do that, because even the documentation doesn't say that. Configure the callback URLs, logout URLs, and allowed web origins. Okay, super. Let me go ahead and save that. And we can also do some kind of branding here. So we'll come back and do that shortly. Okay, we need an image essentially for that. And next, what we have to do is we have to go ahead and install this React library, npm library. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and head over to my terminal, and inside of FE project, I'm going to split the terminal, and in here copy this, press enter. It's going to take a while. I might have to pause here. Alright, so that's completed now, and let's see what is next here. And he says, under the hood, React context, Auth0 React uses React context to manage the authentication state of your users. Okay, so he's essentially giving us some snippet of code to integrate with Auth0 here. So let's head over to our app.js, and that's where we need to do this, or was it index.js? Depending on where you're rendering the app component, most likely it's going to be index.js. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do here is go back to my FE project, and inside of env, I'm going to define a few variables. Okay, and let's see what we can come up with here. So let's go ahead and create two more variables. One for the client ID, another one is for the domain. So I'm going to call this React underscore app underscore auth0 underscore domain. Okay, and I need to copy that domain, and let me go ahead and do that. Alright, and the next thing we want to do is find one more for the client ID. So I'm going to say react underscore app underscore auth0, and this one is going to be client underscore ID, I think. Okay, underscore ID, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Super. And over in our config.js, we need to have these represented, and I'm going to say this is going to be, so let's call these domain and client ID respectively. I'm going to say const domain is equal to process.env, and was that same thing? No, it was actually auth0 domain. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this. Don't want to make any typos here. Okay, and similarly we have client ID as well. Underscore ID is equal to process.env, and we need this one. Okay, and we're going to copy this snippet of code and then a couple of times. And I'm going to say if domain is not defined, we need to go ahead and define that, and essentially same thing for client ID. Okay, so let me copy this react app domain and react app auth0 client ID. Okay, super. I think there's some error in here, hopefully not. Okay, we missed the I here. There was a problem with partial copying, and I'm going to go ahead and expose these or export these things. Okay, so essentially that's going to be domain and comma client ID. Okay, super. And now I can go over to my index.js and configure the app here with auth0. Okay, so let's head over back to the guide, and what do we see here? Essentially it says we have to import this and configure the auth0 provider. Okay, and wrap our app inside auth0 provider. Okay, let me go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to say import auth0 provider. Okay, and I'm going to wrap this one with auth0 provider. Go ahead and wrap this. With this in place, we also need to provide these things, right? So what I'm going to do here is import, I think that was domain, comma client ID from, it's going to be config /config. Yep, that's it. And let me go ahead and provide these things as props. Okay, let me see what I need to do there. Okay, domain, and the other one was client ID. I want to make sure we get the domain is going to be equal to domain, yeah, and this is going to be equal to client ID. Alright, super. So we have something in here. We can also say redirect URI, and super. So we have configured our app with auth0 provider, and the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and create our sign-in page. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick pause and come back and add our sign-in and sign-out components. Okay, and we'll essentially be following these instructions that they have given here in the documentation. Okay, so let's take a quick pause and come back and do the sign-in, sign-out pages, and if possible also the sign-out page. Super. So take a pause, come back soon.